This week, after 30 years, Happy Gilmore has got everyone talking again. Lebron James is taking legal action against people for making AI videos of him pregnant. In a bombshell ruling, the International Court of Justice said that countries can now sue each other. What could go wrong? New conflict just dropped because Thailand and Cambodia are bombing the shit out of each other. And Israel finally caved to international pressure. Kinda. We're talking about all of that and so much more. Subscribe to the channel to welcome Alex back after almost a week.
Don't you ever leave again.
And let's stop the yapping and let's go rocking! Okay, I can't believe I'm even doing this again, let alone starting the video with it. But let's talk about Happy Gilmore 2. Now, I'm not saying that Comrade Sabbath was right, because after this, we're done with movie reviews. But I will give him credit.
Corn casserole.
Now, as for Happy Gilmore, there's a lot of people that are loving this movie, but there's a lot of people that, boy, do they hate it. And I can kind of see why. If you want to look purely on statistics, Rotten Tomato scores so far are 65% for critics and 74% for audiences, which, very interestingly, that's a good one for Adam Sandler, I'm not gonna lie, but also from a critic's perspective, it's actually beating the original because the original got 63% from critics. And look, this movie is coming a staggering 30 years after the original, so the nostalgia really has to just be packed into this. And boy, was it. Adam Sandler brought back almost every single actor from the original, which was a spectacle of its own because this is 30 years later. Just seeing them that long later was interesting. But also, they did very well at keeping the same humor and the same feeling in the film, which I was very happy about. Because I actually watched the first part in anticipation for the second one to be released on Netflix. And yeah, rewatching it, look, it's a little bit silly. There's some parts that are a little bit cringy, but that's the whole feeling of that's why it was such an easy, fun watch. And the second remained the same. It stayed perfectly along that line. The best way to describe it is it feels like Happy Gilmore, the movie, is like one big inside joke, especially the second part. And if you're in on the joke, which you are if you enjoyed the first part, then you will really enjoy the comedy and the story. It just is stupid fun. But if you didn't like the first one, then you're just gonna find it stupid. Just that stupid. Like, for example, they pretty much summoned the entire of Hollywood for this thing because the amount of cameos was insane. And yeah, that kind of sacrificed the acting quality a little bit, and I don't want to spoil all of them, but I do want to mention a couple, just so you get the point. Now, in the movie, they had a bunch of professional golfers, which makes sense, but one of which was Scotty Scheffler. And okay, one tiny little spoiler warning, but he gets arrested in one part of this movie, and when cops walk up to him, he's like, oh no, not again.
Oh no, not again.
Which is only hilarious if you understand that he was just last year, was charged with, how many things was it? Felony assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer at a direct traffic warning. So yeah, little inside joke for you. Another really subtle cameo, but very, very good one was Cameron Boyce. Now, he tragically passed away at only 20 years old from a epileptic fit. And just as a nice little nod to all of the movies that he and Adam Sandler made together, there's this small feature of Cameron as an Easter egg to all of his fans. Adam Sandler's actual daughters and wife were characters in this film, which is a pretty cool thing to see. Oh, and another one, and you'll only love this if you're part of the joke, but after the movie wrapped, the cast gave Shooter McGavin his golden jacket after 30 years, and it's hilarious. Point is, there's so much to love about this film if you're watching it as a fan rather than a critic trying to dissect the acting and the storyline and all of that. And if you are watching it from a critic's perspective, then fair enough. I can see why you wouldn't like it. I mean, I am a fan, and I thought the maxi golf part at the end was a little bit meh. But ultimately, will you regret watching this film? In my opinion, absolutely not. if you enjoyed the first part, you watch it with a little bit of fun. Don't try to think too hard into it, just enjoy it. And I guess also if you have Netflix, because then it's free. You know, you're not having to pay it to go see it in the cinema. Movie is approved in the Empire. You can watch it. So, thumbs up from me. Last movie review of the entire thing, and let's move on. Talking about silliness though, LeBron James, that brother is pissed. So this week, his legal team have reportedly been sending out cease and desist letters to social media accounts for sharing his AI videos, like depicting him as pregnant and having a child. The fact that he hates it so much and is bothered by it so much to take legal action just makes it so much funnier. Now, I wish I could show you the footage, but I don't want to get a cease and desist letter myself and get he was apparently getting accounts taken down for this. So, maybe we get a blurred version or something. Or just go and watch it. There's so many still on X. But apparently this all started with a Discord channel, right? And the creators were creating this AI tool which allowed people to replicate it very well. But the thing is, I guess they weren't only making pregnant videos of LeBron. One of them in particular, which was extra disturbing, was an AI video of LeBron watching Diddy Stephen Curry in prison. And that one's got like 6 million views alone on Twitter, which just begs the question, who's got time to make these videos? I don't know. And so, because of all of this, the creator of this AI tool was threatened with legal action by LeBron James, along with 3 other Instagram accounts that were just sharing these videos. Now, these accounts apparently were taken down and Instagram's removed this content, but they're still circulating in places like X, which are much harder to take down. But yeah, I guess add LeBron James to some of the first major celebrities that are taking action against AI, and it's just going to become a bigger and bigger thing as time goes on. But what do you guys think about this? Is he right to be pissed off and taking legal action, or is he taking it far too seriously? Let me know. Moving on. Also, this week, the world is so crazy right now that since we last spoke, new conflict has just dropped. Yeah, this week, Thailand and Cambodia started bombing the out of each other. In fact, it's actually way worse than just that, because in just 4 days of this kicking off, Thailand has closed its borders and told its citizens to evacuate Cambodia. Violent clashes broke out between the two countries at the border, and it's so far ended the lives of 32 people and displaced more than 200,000. Cambodia is being accused of firing rockets into Thai villages and attacking a hospital, while Thailand has used its fighter jets and other methods to carry out strikes on Cambodian military targets. Both sides have now reinforced the borders with additional troops. Billions of dollars has been lost after trade between the two countries was suspended. And you've probably been waiting for this one, but America has got involved already. So, how the hell did we get here? Well, it's actually not that hard to understand since it's got all the familiar ingredients as the other active conflicts that we talk about on the channel. Over 100 years ago, French colonizers kind of drew a line on a map, called it a border, and left them to it. And so ever since, there's been a dispute between Cambodia and Thailand about who owns what along this 500-mile border that they share. Now, there has been constant flare-ups over the years, but most recently, things really escalated after 2 Thai soldiers had their legs blown off by landmines, which allegedly Cambodia has been planting along the border. So, in response, Thailand took control of border checkpoints, imposed restrictions on crossings, and apparently even threatened to cut electricity and internet to Cambodia's border towns. Cambodia clapped back by blocking imports of Thai fruit and vegetables and banned Thai movies and TV dramas. And then things got really wild after a Cambodian politician leaked a private phone call that he had with Thailand's prime minister about their border disputes in particular. In fact, this leak was so bad that it got Thailand's prime minister freaking suspended because in that conversation, she apparently criticized her own army's actions at the border. Yeah, not a great look. And then after the constant back and forth, things finally boiled over into the violent clashes that we're seeing today, where both countries are accusing each other of starting the conflict and firing the first bullet. But then things get even crazier because Trump stepped in last night and he said that he personally called the leaders of both sides and said that they have agreed to immediately meet and quickly work out a ceasefire and ultimately peace. Okay, breaking news. Thailand and Cambodia have just agreed to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Holy! Actually, some good news. So, the leaders of both countries have just finished their meetings in Malaysia, and they agreed to a ceasefire that will take effect at 12 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. So, I'm sure they'll get their shots in quick. Sorry. Too soon! Oh, and both countries' allies, the United States and China, also participated in these ceasefire negotiations, which I'm sure they'll love to take credit for. Hopefully, the ceasefire will hold up and peace will prevail, but if it doesn't, of course, I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, I guess on a similar note, what's happened in Gaza this weekend is very, very significant. And I do believe, on a very serious note, everyone should at least know what's happening. So basically, late last week, several leading news agencies like the BBC, Reuters, AFP, and the Associated Press, they also released a joint statement saying that their journalists in Gaza right now are at risk of starvation, and they were urging Israeli authorities to allow them in and out of Gaza. In other words, and this is just staggering to even say, but journalists in Gaza are now suffering the same fate as the people that they are reporting on. And keep in mind, if you don't like those news agencies, it's not just them. That was the third joint statement we had in 3 days. The first was 28 countries, world governments condemning Israel, specifically over the starvation crisis. Then the next day, we had over 100 international aid organizations and human rights groups issuing yet another joint statement saying, warning of mass starvation in Gaza, criticizing the aid operations. And then, of course, most recently, we found out that journalists are in the same position. Now, a couple of days passed after this, and we didn't know if all of this mounting global pressure was going to make any difference. But then, over the weekend, it looks like it might have actually done something, because Israel announced today a tactical pause in the fighting and promised to open certain aid corridors permanently. Now, in response to this announcement, around 180 trucks are reportedly heading into Gaza from Egypt, 60 trucks are heading in from Jordan, and there are airdrops of aid from the UAE and the Israeli military. Other countries like the UK have already pledged to join the airdrops, despite saying that they believe that this announcement has come way too late. The World Food Programme has welcomed Israel's decision, and they said, this is so staggering, that they have enough food to feed the entire population of 2.1 million Gazans for almost 3 months, just waiting to be allowed in. The UK also announced over the weekend that they will be evacuating children in need out of Gaza and bringing them into the UK, specifically the ones that are in need of critical medical assistance. And then France, they announced that they will be formally recognizing Palestine in September, hoping that others will follow their lead. But ultimately, the big question people are asking now, though, is how long will this hold up? And of course, even more importantly, how effective will this be? As the situation develops, though, I'll keep you guys updated. Moving on. Okay, our next story, geez, is such a wild situation kicking off right now. Women across America are furious right now because someone has just hacked their female-only app, releasing thousands of users' images, IDs, and posts. Now, if you didn't know, there's a very popular app called T. So popular, in fact, that it is the #1 free app on the Apple Store, and it's essentially designed to promote safely dating, men, and to help women do background checks on men as well. And look, it's objectively got some very good features, like being able to reverse image search, in case of catfishing, the ability to check whether someone is lying to you and they're actually married or they're on the sex offenders list. But there are other features which are very controversial, one of which allows women to anonymously share, quote, red flags of a man with other women. I guess kind of like you'd have reviews and ratings of an Uber after a ride. But I guess this one would be perhaps for a different form of different variation of ride. Alex, that's not funny. But yeah, the backlash to some of these features has been intense. I guess as you'd imagine, some men online are calling it anti-male, a feminist doxing app, and even as far as that the app is evil and meant to destroy men's lives. And that is why there's a lot of people that are actually celebrating this hack and saying that it's justice. But the number of people caught up in this and that are exposed through this amount of information released is insane. Because the thing is, the T app has millions of users, and these hackers were able to gain unauthorized access to 72,000 images, 13,000 of which were selfies, which were meant to be deleted, and other much more serious things like IDs, driver's licenses, and then also a pretty spiteful twist onto the selfies that were leaked that should have been deleted according to privacy policy terms of service. They were supposed to be deleted after they signed up. They weren't. But yeah, basically some spiteful individuals turned these leaked selfies into a game. They basically created this leaderboard where people, it puts two images beside each other. You vote on which one you prefer. And then they create a leaderboard of the top ones that people voted on, and then a bottom 50. So it's basically showing out of all of these things, the people that, you get the point. It's pretty rough, but we add that one to the freaking active conflicts because that is getting pretty brutal and people are getting hurt as well. On both sides. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments about that one, but moving on. Oh, geez, we're talking about a lot of active conflicts, but global beef after this is also about to skyrocket. Because the International Court of Justice issued a bombshell ruling that countries can now sue each other for climate change. Bro, are they trying to start new wars? Now, under this ruling, nations across the globe can be held legally responsible, not just for what they've done today, but also for the emissions and the pollution that they've pumped out for the last decades. The ICJ ruled that the right to a healthy and sustainable environment is equal to that of human rights. Now, for the most part, this ruling will benefit the other smaller countries that are disproportionately being affected by climate change while also disproportionately contributing to it. I hope I haven't phrased that hard to understand. But then it's also not really clear if the US and China, the world's two biggest polluters, can even be held accountable or sued because they don't actually recognize the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. And that was their ruling. So I guess we'll find out, one of the first countries to sue one of them and see if it works. But what do you guys think? Will this ruling hold these countries accountable, or will they just patooey it? Just brush it off and just be like, come on, who cares? But before my brain breaks in two, I need to interrupt 3 sacrificial lambs. The lineup to be sacrificed is getting so extensively long that we have... It is like my brain isn't working today. This is insane. Brain fog, that's what this is. Always remember, they hurt. They hurt. So you don't have to. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, that is it. It's time for Rapid Fire News! Okay, I've got fun little categories for this week's Rapid Fire News. It's called Deaths, Fires, and Plane Disasters. So, let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Starting with deaths. We actually lost a lot of big names this week. He started on Monday with Malcolm Jamal Warner, who is best known for his role on The Cosby Show, and he passed away at only 54 years old after being caught in a strong current while swimming during a family trip to Costa Rica. Then, the very next day on Tuesday, legendary artist Ozzy Osbourne died at 76. And kind of crazy, but he died just a couple of weeks after he did this huge farewell show where he even reunited with his old bandmates Black Sabbath, almost like he knew his time was coming. He said on stage at his last ever show, "You guys have no idea how I feel. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." Then, just 2 days after that, on Thursday, we got news that legendary wrestler Hulk Hogan passed away from a heart attack. And the crazy part about this one is that he died on the exact same day, 10 years on the 10-year anniversary, that he was fired from the WWE for a racism scandal. The very same day. And because of this insane coincidence, a lot of this caused major controversy, and a lot of people were saying they're just using this to ruin his legacy, while others were saying he was a racist, he doesn't deserve a legacy. You know how the internet is. So yeah, let's move on to our next one. Fires. Because we had a bunch of those too this week. Turkey and Greece have been ravaged, and the visuals look straight up apocalyptic. Thousands have been forced to evacuate their homes. Several firefighters and civilians have died, with the current death toll at 12, and heavy winds and record-breaking heat has only made the situation worse as they continue to fight the blazes. And then our last category, plane disaster. disasters because we had a bunch of those. In fact, we had 7 plane accidents, or near accidents, I guess. Remember, this is all in a space of 1 week. In Russia, 48 people were killed when a passenger plane went down over a dense forest in the Amur region. They're still looking into whether it's a pilot error, poor weather, or a technical malfunction, so they don't know the cause yet. A freaking fighter jet crashed into a school in Bangladesh, killing 27. There was also another one in Italy. Now, it does have fewer casualties, but it was possibly like, you see it, crazy. It was this small plane, and it basically nosedived into a busy highway, and it burst into flames. 2 were killed in that incident, and more were injured. But it continues. A Boeing jet caught fire at a Denver airport. Authorities say this was because there was a problem with the landing gear, and passengers had to evacuate, go down that slide. Just last night, a small plane carrying 3 crashed off the coast of California. And then also, 2 planes came within just 200 feet of colliding with each other over Mexico City. And 200 feet in terms of air travel is that's like razor margins. And then also this week, a similar incident happened in America as well, where a commercial plane had to make a sudden maneuver to avoid colliding with a Hawker Hunter fighter jet. And then lastly, I know it's not a plane, it's a train, but they sound the same. So, no, on a serious note, 3 people were killed this morning and several others were badly injured after an overflowing sewage shaft caused a landslide on a hill that derailed a passenger train in southwest Germany. Jeez, all of this death, these are brutal categories. You know what? I'm ending this off on a good note. We have one more late category. Good news. I don't want to leave you depressed. So, England, they won the Euros. If you're from Spain watching this, yes, you'll be depressed. But for everyone else, woo! Because they actually won in penalties as well, which I don't know if you guys know, it's an England curse. And not only that, but they are now back-to-back champions because they won it in 2022 as well. I'm pretty sure that was against Spain too, was it not? Or was it against Italy? I don't know, but if it was against Spain, they've now become the first senior English team, men or women, to win a major tournament on foreign soil. Come on, men. What are we doing here? Why can't we do the same? And then also, another feel-good story, Amish. Big W for them, because remember those devastating storms that hit North Carolina last year, caused insane damage? Well, every single week since then, and you haven't really heard about this because they don't really make a big deal about it, but a whole group of Amish people have crammed into a bus each week, been traveling hundreds of miles all the way from Pennsylvania to help rebuild the town of Chimney Rock. Because the thing is, every single business in that town was damaged in some way. So they've been clearing up debris, they've been insulating new buildings, they've been organizing donated products, been repairing buildings that can still be freshened up without being entirely rebuilt. And in fact, they've been so instrumental in all of this. Apparently the mayor said that if the Amish people had not shown up, the entire town would be a ghost town. So that's showing that there is still good in the world. And the Empire is still I don't think we've had a single crime in the Empire since it was initiated back in 1803, I believe it was. Forefathers, you know. Just kidding. It was still me. I live forever. I'm kind of like Kim Jong-un. I don't pee or poo. I don't have a single fault. Things like that. But anyway, let's wrap up on a fantastic note. Love you guys. Hope you're having a great start to the week. And I will see you on Wednesday. Also got my toe splays on today. Wait, you can't tell, eh? Toe splays. Toe splays. To display my toes, because they are cramped in. Sorry, that was just for you, Alex. But story on that another time.